join us today.
Yeah,
I know.
Shut that off.
You are good to go.
Make sure we're muted so that we're not getting echo, 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 echo. And we're live, just like that, for Triple T. Get this, number 160.
Holy bananas.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Bananas is good. My name is TJ Zebel. I like to call myself a professional problem solver, which I always follow up with, no, I don't know everything. I just have a unique way of asking questions and helping people find solutions they are looking for. Based out of Dallas area now, but worldwide on the web. Yippee! Which means we're also live on YouTube, and I get to say hi, Mom, up in Minnesota. I trust that you are nice, tucked away in your warm little place. Stay in, stay warm, stay alive. We're even chillish down here in Texas. In fact, there are places around here getting that white stuff all the way down to the coast. They're talking, it is snowing over the Gulf of Mexico. That's got to have a couple of animals very confused. Can you imagine if you're one of them geese that flew all the way from Canada down to your favorite little hot spot on the southernmost tip of Texas, and all of a sudden you're like, what the what? Anyhow, for those of you on YouTube, or if you're watching this recording, please do all the YouTube stuff. Click the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave comments. Leave comments. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Comment on other people's comments. Let's make it a commentition. Is that a word? Bada bing.
It is now.
I also have a new website which is going through all sorts of metamorphoses and changes and updates. And so if you saw it last week, check it again. Play Where's Waldo? What has changed? By the way, I've been talking all day since 9:30. So if I'm stumbling and yes, my brain was like, we still got to talk for another 2 hours? Yeah. For real? Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, but we're going to. So, yes, my squirrels. Yeah, another disclaimer. I have squirrels that know squirrels that have squirrels. So when we get going, if you guys hear me like stray off, or if somebody asks a question and all of a sudden we're way down in this rabbit hole, welcome to Planet TJ. Back to the website. Do offer a free, that's right, no charge to you, 30-minute consultation. That's your opportunity to get a hold of me. Ask me questions, see if there's anything that I can do to help you. If I'm a fit, I'll let you know. If I am not a fit, I will let you know. I promise you that. And I will do my best to find the best answer for the solutions you're looking for. What is it I do? Oh my, that's a long list, so I'm going to give you the abbreviated portion. I get the pleasure of helping people with depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD. I work with athletes from beginner all the way up to pro level. I offer corporate coaching and doing a lot of work with relationship stuff. In fact, just picked up a couple more new clients who decided that they didn't want to go into 2026 single. I said, okay, well, we got some work to do, and they are willing to put in the work. So, exciting stuff there. What else? Keeping the tradition going that I started in the very first Triple T of 2024. Wearing a different tie for every episode. Today, this one will be the first repeat tie. And because of a special occasion that happened just the other day here in the US, I figured this would probably be an appropriate tie. The haters, please just stop the typing. Talk to me in 4 years. Oh,
And that's that.
what you got for us, Mark?
That's a
Aw.
Donald J. Trump tie.
Wow, that is super cool.
Right on.
There you go.
I just hope that the haters can hate as in the fashion that we hated the last 4 years without burning the country down. I hope they can kind of follow suit. That's about as far as I'm going to go political on this. So if you caught that part, relax. On with the show. If you're new to Triple T, the way this works, the first hour, I have 3 topics that I do my best to try and get through. Those of you that have been around know exactly what I'm talking about. And the second hour, that's right, we go 2 hours. The second hour is open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can ask a question, bring up a topic. So if you're watching on YouTube or watching a recording, please join us. No, it's no cost at all. You don't even have to know how to spell NLP. We'll help you with that. Other than that, before we get started, I always like to find out if anybody has anything they would like to share from the last time we were together 7 whole days ago. Any cool stuff, ahas, epiphanies, thoughts that stuck with you? Mike?
Bananas. I thought I was on mute before. I'm sorry if you heard me typing. I definitely had lots, and I was going to save them for hour 2.
For hour 2. There is your teaser right there. We got lots of stuff coming up in hour 2, which means that as soon as we hit hour 2, this stuff is going to come straight out of the gate. No more of this long, pregnant pause waiting.
Maybe there might be a pause. It's okay. We're comfortable in the silence with
Okay,
each
for
other.
those of you that have stuff as well, we're expecting. And if you're watching this for the first time, you're like, what? Yeah, when second hour opens up, it's usually the what do we call it? The polite chipmunks. If you remember that cartoon from way back in the day, after you, no, really after you, no, sir, after you, no, really, I insist after you, and they will sit there for how long? About 3 minutes. So, anything else before we jump into the, yes, Mark, please. You guys and your mute buttons today.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just giving the takeoff signal.
That was, there you said it. There's the takeoff. All right, well, tonight's topics. I want to talk about me, activities, and motivation. Jumping straight into the first one. No, this isn't about me. It's about conversation. Who's familiar with Toby Keith? Go rest his soul. Miss that man.
Truly. Singing it in my head, though.
But yeah, what a great song. I want to talk about me. I want to talk about I want to talk about number one. Oh my, me, my. What I say, what I want, what I don't, what I see. Yes, I won't be taking his place anytime soon. This is brought up, as most of you know, my clients have a unique way of providing me with the topics for the day. And I have a client who is now finally really understanding the power of the trifecta. And if you're new to Planet TJ, the trifecta is echo talk, 3 magic questions, and values and criteria elicitation. And they're a fresh graduate of Triple P, which, if you're wondering what that's all about, that's my dating protocol, perfect person protocol. No, got that wrong. Flip, been a long day, I said. Perfect partner protocol. Because we're not trying to fool ourselves into thinking that we are going to find the perfect person. Oh, they're perfect. No, they're perfect for you. They're the perfect partner. They're as crazy as you are, and they're as crazy about you as you are about them. You like the same stuff. You don't like a lot of the same stuff, all the above. But how do you find out all this stuff without having to go on 20 dates or 20 years? The trifecta. And the other part of the trifecta, listening. Oh my. I think I shared this quote last week, but it fits right into this as well. And I'm not sure, I should have looked it up and wrote it down, but it goes something like you can make 20 friends in a month by being interested in them. Or you can make 2 friends in a month by telling people how interesting you are. And that requires listening. And my client went out for an activity, which ties into the next topic, with a person. And last week we had a little discussion about their ability to balance talking and listening. And they realized that it's a major challenge for them. And when we dug down, went into the archives and found out what their main motivation was for talking, as a young child, they had witnessed their father cutting in on conversations on their mother and other people, and they perceived it as power because their father was a powerful speaker in their minds. And when we went back and did a little retro work and had them pull out the recordings, they realized that their father was a horrible listener and cut people off mid-sentence all the time and would come in and take over conversations all the time. And when they realized that they had perceived that as a powerful person, they realized where they had gotten the habit from. And when they looked back at how many people had professed to them that they never listened. You don't listen. You're always butting in. You're always cutting me off. And the expression that I said, I asked them, do you hear in your head when people start talking? Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Would you just shut up? I've got things to say. And they were like, oh, yeah. And I said, who do you want to talk about? I want to talk about me. I went, yeah. When you're out on a, we stopped calling them dates. Dates are when you realize that that's somebody you want to be romantically interested or involved with. These are activities. These are compatibility tests. Call it an interview, call it whatever you want. And so on this last one that they went out with, they said it was one of the most challenging outings they'd been on. But what they learned about this new person they had never really met, texted a couple of times, talked like 2 times on the phone briefly, opened their eyes, and the trifecta allowed that other person to tell them so many things. So many things. That by the end of the first outing, they knew, no, nope, no, nope, no, no, nope, nope. And they also realized that last year they would have fallen for this person right now. Because this person had a lot of the same characteristics as a lot of the other past failures. And they were able to figure that out in 2 hours, not 2 years. So in the I want to talk about me, what they realized is there will always be a time when I find the right person to talk about me. And I'll get to talk about me because they will ask about me. This person that they were with didn't ask about them. And when they did feel the urge to share something that was parallel, because we all know when people are telling stories, it's natural human conditioning to search for what is a story that I have that correlates with this. And sometimes we don't do it on purpose, but we want to one up a little bit. You want to keep that excitement building. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, this one time, and oh that one. Oh yeah. Well, I remember this one time when I did something similar to that was even worse. Oh yeah. Well, yes. Well, they had brought up a couple of things and got cut off mid-sentence and got, because they were in the mindset, the mind frame of making sure they didn't do that, it was blatantly kick to the chest obvious. And they were like, that's what it feels like. I went out on a date with my worst self. I went, oh. Kapow.
What a different perspective they must have had.
Very different perspective. And now, not surprisingly, their next two sessions are going to be very dedicated to the art of the trifecta, including the art of pause fill. And I don't know, I think it's been quite a while since I've even brought up pause fill. Do any of you know what pause fill is?
Pauseville?
Pause
What's
fill?
Pauseville?
Really? None of you?
You brought it up. It's been probably a while.
Okay. Mark.
Mark hasn't.
Perhaps having a comfortable silence, just allowing the pauses to be there, not try to fill, the pause with words.
Words. That's a great answer, which means I haven't taught this for quite a while. What a great time to put in a quick little lesson. Okay. Is there anybody on this call that doesn't know what echo talk is? And for those of you watching YouTube or watching the recording, I forgot to mention, you guys only see the people that have their camera on. So if you're seeing me talk to myself, there are actually other people on the call. And seeing as how none of you have raised your hands or spoke up, you all understand what echo talk is. For those of you that don't know and you're watching the recording, contact me. I'll teach you. The idea of pause fill is right in line with echo talk. But when you get people that are having a conversation, and at some point they have to take a breath, you have the ability to take that little pause to echo back, repeat verbatim one, maybe two words that they had just said that were important in that sentence or that conversation. Not to hijack the conversation, not to interrupt. It's simply to fill the pause with a word. And the effect that it has on conversations is awesome. I challenge every one of you to test this out for this entire upcoming week. Anytime you get a chance and you're having a conversation with somebody, if they give you that little pause, repeat one of the words they said with zero intent of taking over the conversation. And if you do it correctly, you will be rewarded with a certain reaction that I have found I can't even stop or resist when I get pause filled. When somebody pause fills you, you will automatically go, yep, and you'll get just that little head nod, and you go right back into the conversation. And it has happened to, I teach this stuff. And I'll be talking with a student, all of a sudden they'll pause fill me, I'll be like, yep. I went, you got me. But what it does is it's an ongoing, instant recognition that they've been heard, understood, and validated without taking over the conversation.
Conversation.
See? Perfectly done. Just like that. And I hope you guys caught that. What happened when you did that? My head just. And so with pause fill, it takes the pressure off of some people from feeling that they're going to have the conversation taken from them. Because you're only going to say one or two words. Now, the other time that it really helps is letting them know that, A, you're paying attention to the conversation and you heard them. People that know me know that I have a bit of a hearing challenge now. I pause fill with my wife all the time. She's gotten so accustomed to it that if I don't pause fill, she will wait to make sure that I heard. And so it's a validation of, yes, I'm listening. Yes, I heard what you said. It's a great little tool to have in your conversational toolbox. And so this is another one that my client now is very driven to get good at. Mark.
Yeah, just, again, I know it by a different name. The one word echo.
One word echo.
And you always hit the center of the target with the pause fill. Now I have a new term. To when the other person goes, yeah.
Yeah.
When you hear the yeah, you hit the bullseye.
And you will notice that little head and it's not one of those where like, yeah, that's what, it's just that little, yeah. And it, like you said, Mark, it was so well, they get that relief, that little, you heard me. Yes, yeah. And the other cool part about it, when you get really good at the trifecta, you can change somebody's day for the better. That easy. Sometimes people just want to be heard. They want to know that somebody gives half a rip about whether they're alive or not. That's why Black Swan Group,
Voss?
Chris Voss, thank you. Yes. If you listen to him a lot of his stuff is validating people's existence. And simply doing that little thing. And I challenge people on that as well. I do it all the time. You come up to the checkout aisle and the store is busy. And you know that those checkout people, God bless them. You know they're not making $85 an hour. and they're putting up with humans in their natural environment. And of course, there's always that one person that has to argue about getting their 25-cent coupon, even though it's expired. Hey, and I'll come up and you just simply go, you do a little read on them. If nothing else, they'll say, how's your day going? Because that's their automatic programming. You listen to them, they ask the same thing. But if they ask me that, I'll go, I'm doing pretty good, but I'm not working. How is your day going? And they'd be like, oh, it's going fine. I'm like, wow, I don't know how you guys do it, man. I am so impressed. You're knocking it out. I watched you, and they're like, wow. And pull a little three magic question on them real quick. Do I want to know their history or whatever? No. It's some of the best practice you'll ever get for free. And the better you get at it, the better you are able at making people feel good for no reason at all. Mark.
And they always seem to remember you. I'll do that at the coffee shop, break their state, make them smile, make them laugh.
Yeah.
And the next time you come in, they light up like it's Christmas morning. Hey, how you doing?
Right? Yeah. And what does it cost you? You're there anyway. It's not like you're in the checkout and you're making them feel good and they're like, and that'll be an extra $1.35 for making me feel good. We're just going to put that on the made me feel good surcharge. No, it's free. I promise. I know I've told this story a number of times. Oh, Holly, please.
You can finish what you were saying.
No, go ahead. You had your hand up. This one I know well.
Here we are talking about people interrupting. I was just putting my hand to talk. Nice, not to talk immediately. Okay, well, I guess I have a comment and then two follow-up questions, and then you can finish the story. So first, I'll say there's a really good example of this in a TV show called Not Going Out. I think the episode's called Marriage Guidance. It's a British TV show. But this is just kind of the importance of one word echo is great, but if you could get the right word, it matters even more. And the example is one character says, at times I could be abrasive. And the other character says, at times. And then she looks at her and gives her a funny look. And then she says, I mean, abrasive. And so anyway, I thought that was just kind of a funny example of a one word echo that when you get the right word, it feels even better. But even if you get the wrong word, they'll still give you that feedback of that you're off and you can, they realize you're actually listening to them. Yep. And then my two questions were, one is, well, I'll let you tell your story first and maybe I'll ask the questions after because I don't want too many things stacking on top of each other.
Well, and the story I'm going to talk about is the pilot in the elevator. One of the best examples the universe allowed me to have to validate how easily and quickly you can change somebody's day. We were teaching downtown San Diego in a hotel on the 5th or 6th floor. It was like the third or the fourth day. We'd already covered the trifecta and breaking for lunch. And there were about 5 or 6 students walking with me. We're at the elevator, and this hotel was very popular with flight crews because it was close to the airport. Well, the elevator opens up and there's a airline captain. He's got all the bars and the hat and everything. And Ray Charles could see this dude was having a poor day. I mean, the energy cloud in that elevator was thick. And so we pile in, and the door's starting to close. And I looked at him. I said, out of curiosity, um, how long you been flying? And I can break this down, but I'll keep it simple. He looks up and he goes, I don't know, about 19 years now. Wow, 19 years. Echo. So were you like the 5-year-old in the backyard with the toy plane putting out a billion miles? And he looked up and he cracked up a little bit and goes, yeah, probably. And I said, well, I just want to let you know that my family and friends and I travel a lot. And I appreciate people like you that have been passionate about flight since you were that little 5-year-old in the backyard with the toy plane. Bing! Elevator doors opened. And I said, after you. And his energy flipped 180 degrees. I said, after you, sir. And he goes, thank you. And I said, and you have a good day. He goes, and you have a good day too. And he goes off walking, and I kind of held the students back till he turned the corner. And I said, what did I just do? And they went, dude, you just echoed and three magic questioned him. I said, yep. And how long did it take me? And they're like, 30, 45 seconds? I went, exactly. And what did it do for his day? It totally changed his day. And what did it cost me? Nothing. I don't know his name. I don't know where he's from. Doesn't matter. It's not about the gathering of the information. It's understanding how effective these conversation tools are. Just like when Chris Voss talks about if you come up and you see an employee behind the counter that is looking like they're having a bad day, ask them. Bad day, huh? If you're wrong, they'll be like, no, I'm just tired. Oh, tired. Yeah, I can understand. How much longer you got left before you get to go home and relax? I hope you have a better day. Just that little bit can flip them that easy. So, for those of you that are now interested in learning the trifecta and these conversational tips and tricks, and I shouldn't even call them tricks because they're not. It's learning the best form of conversation I have ever witnessed, ever. I have said this many, many, many times on my soapbox and anywhere else people can hear my voice and understand my language. The trifecta should be taught to every single human being right after they learn how to say mama, dada. There would be a lot less stress, arguments, fights, I believe, because the conversations would be much better. Back to you, Holly. Oh,
Okay, I guess I could ask it verbally. It helped to type it out. So my first question is, I have what NLP calls a very small chunk size, which for those of you who've taken NLP, you'll probably remember that when someone's chunk size gets overwhelmed, you experience spontaneous amnesia. And so I've had a lot of people in my life comment that I do a lot of interrupting, and I tried to figure out why I was doing it. And I realized the reason was because I was actually interested in what they were saying, and I was feeling my chunk size getting overwhelmed. And so this was my way of just kind of jumping in, pausing, trying to download and digest the previous chunk before we move on to the next chunk. So anyway, I've noticed that drives people crazy. They keep telling me, please stop interrupting. So then I just let them talk because I'm like, oh, maybe they just need to get it. Maybe it's more important for them to talk and for them to feel heard. But then that gets me in trouble because I experience spontaneous amnesia. And then like a month later, they bring it up, whatever they're talking about again, and they get mad that I don't remember the details. So I'm just kind of curious, what is the balancing act? I kind of mentioned in my comment, maybe the pause still is part of it. Maybe that would be a way to at least kind of put a bookmark on the end of a chunk or something. But how would each of you handle that?
Two things. Depending on their cadence, how fast they're talking, um, the pause fill may work if you can slam it in between a quick gasp while they try to get back to their auctioneer cadence. But I've had to deal with this before, and I like to think that I have a fairly decent ability to follow the conversation. But I've had some people that, like I say, just have that auctioneer cadence, and they can talk and talk and talk and talk, and you're like, it's been 15 minutes and you've taken 3 breaths quickly. So what I've done with them when I realize I'm dealing with one of those people is I'll do a hard stop on them. Like they'll be stop, wait. The thing you were talking about, Kai, it's been like you're talking so fast. Like two things ago was really interesting. Do you remember what it was? You know what happens to them? They don't even a lot of times remember what they were talking about because they were so intent on getting words out. And so that's your opportunity to go, God, I wish I would have remembered, because I as soon as you said it, I was like, that is so cool. And I wanted to ask a question, but I didn't get the opportunity. Huh. Where were we now? And sometimes you have to do that a couple of times to them before they understand that you want to hear what they're saying. And sometimes they just come from a place that talks really fast. And I know what it's like for them. Sometimes when you're talking to people from areas that talk slow, and you're a fast thinker, but you want to be nice and you want to let them finish, but you just want to pull the words out of their mouth because it feels like they're talking in slow motion. That's the joys of dealing with humans in their natural environment. So my I guess my advice would be, if it's something that you really want to understand, don't be afraid to stop them mid-sentence, not to take over the conversation, but to have them clarify. Let them know that you're interested. This is really interesting, but I had a question, and now I don't remember what that is. To get them, to teach them to slow down. Does that help?
I could get my mute button to work. Yeah, that's a great answer.
Okay.
Should I save my other question for the second hour since we're trying to?
Okay.
Awesome.
Anybody else have any ahas, epiphanies? And I just realized I've got 16 minis to fit in the last 2. Well, the second one, activities, we've kind of covered. And part of the activities part is getting away from calling every outing a date. There are activities and then there are dates. And for those of you that are trying to change your lifestyle, collect more friends, build a new tribe, perhaps find somebody new in 2025, you can do it what I'm going to call, you can do it the least effective way, sitting in your domicile and trying the online dating and swipe left, swipe right thingy, whatever that is. Or you can add activities to your life. I saw a quote this week. You can't add more days to your life, but you can always add more life to your days. I'll repeat that again. You can't add more days to your life, but you can always add more life to your days. Get out where people are. We've mentioned meetups. If there isn't a meetup that you're interested in, then create a meetup that you're interested in. If nobody shows up, at least it got you out of the house. But in this day and age, I'm going to challenge you. I'm pretty sure if you do it consistently for a couple of weeks, two or three events, somebody will show up. And if you show up at the place, put up a bright balloon, a bright single balloon with a readable card that says meetup and the title of your meetup or your group. Somebody will stop and ask questions, and you can tell them, hey, you're free to hang out, or if you can't do it this week, I'm on meetup.com, and I'll post the next time we're going out doing an outing. But if nothing changes, nothing is going to change. If you don't change your routine, you're gonna make it all the way through 2025 and realize that January 1st, 2026 looks a lot like January 1st, 2025. Lenora.
I love that you said that, because that goes hand in hand with what I was going to share during the second hour. So look at that. More aligned insights.
Bada bing. Well, then I will move quickly on to motivation. No, that works because I've got 13 minutes to talk about motivation. And here we are on the 21st day of the year. This is typically
Already.
where people who made that amazing revolution, resolution, constitution, I'm going to promise myself to do it differently this year than I managed to do the last how many years on the same idea, are running out of their motivation. Usually because they are relying on will. Mark is on a good roll. He let us know that he's still hitting the gym and making a difference. So, whoop, whoop. But I saw this reel with Simon Sinek, and I should have written her name down. But they were talking about motivation and how much she can't stand that concept.
Mel Robbins.
Yes, thank you, Mel Robbins. That's the one. And she said, because motivation is too reliant on will, and it needs to be more reliant on skill and a bunch of other outside forces to get yourself to go out and do something. And she had this great example. What is Nike's slogan? Just do it. And she asked Simon, what was the most important word in that slogan? And he said, do. And she went, no, just. Because if their slogan was simply do it, people would hate it. Because it's too pushy. It's too regimental. But when you say just do it, you're already thinking about it. Just do it. And she said the word just is the word that appeals to the humanity in us. Mark.
I was just going to say, again, a little piece of my motivation, I won't say the whole thing about getting back in shape was, and starting on a, keeping up my motivations. Well, I couldn't disappoint my tribe.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of times for motivation, announcing to your peers what your intentions are is very important. But you, I think we discussed last week, you also have to select the peers that you pick that you're going to announce your intentions to. Some of them will take your intentions and build a bullhorn to cheer you on. Others will take your intentions and build sticks to throw at your feet while you're trying to run the race. And so it's the combination of the skill of building a strong enough why. Why are you going to do it? Why are you going to get up? Why are you going to show up? Why are you going to do something different from the last how many years? Maybe it's something you've never done. Why are you going to try something absolutely new? Maybe you tried and you started how many times and didn't make it? And now you've got the part of your brain going, here we go again. What makes you think we're going to do it this time? We haven't done this before. It always fails, and we're wasting time, and we could be and that'll take the skill to recognize and figure out how to get around it. Yeah, don't let others guillotine your motivation. And one thing you have to understand, a lot of times the people that take those words and turn them into sticks to throw at your feet aren't doing it out of malice. A lot of times they're doing it because they don't want the person they love to change into somebody new. And they may not even realize they're doing it. I just want what's best for you. I don't want you to feel bummed out when it doesn't work again. Gee, thanks. There's so much better things you could do with your money than waste it again on another gym membership. Thanks. Appreciate the motivation. And so, again, taking the skills of figuring out why is it important to you? What motivations can you find outside of because I want to do this? And they can be as simple or as complicated or as reptilian or pure as it takes. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, who cares? One of my clients is driven to get back in shape. And before I announce what the motivation was, stop typing. It's their motivation. They're showing up early to the gym, the earliest they can get there, because they had been informed and realized that it was true that some of the most professional, accomplished single people are there at that time of day. And they're usually sleeping. And so I told them, go there 3 times to analyze what crowd is there. Now, is a gym a good place to meet your person? Not really. But if your person is motivated enough to get up that early and consistently go to the gym to work out, you've got a better chance at meeting them there while getting in shape than you do while sleeping in your bed. They had a hard time arguing with that, so they are motivated. And I said, if nothing else, if you don't meet anybody, you're just going to have to work out with a lot of attractive people. There are worse ways to work out. That gives us 3 minis. Any questions, ahas, epiphanies on the 3 topics that we managed to squeak through in the first hour? Yes, no? Bueller? Well, look at there. I thought we were going to run over, and we managed to finish oily. So I'm going to let us move right into hour number 2. Now, for those of you that tuned in a little late, the second hour works a little differently. I will be talking a little less, I'm thinking, supposing, hoping, we'll find out. Because the second hour is all about you guys, open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can ask a question, bring up a topic, and I let everybody on the call answer first. And we've been informed that we have all sorts of questions that are going to be coming right out of the gate. No pause. So bring it on. First question.
The pressure.
Is what?
I said the pressure.
Pressure.
I know Holly had some questions, and I definitely wanted to hear them, especially because I had shared some other things. So, Holly, were you able to pop on?
Well, I felt like Lenora should get hers first, but in the nature of getting out the gate, fine, I'll ask it.
You get so scary about it. It's very intense.
I called it the
You did.
polite chipmunks.
All right. So this is just kind of another follow-up to we were talking about listening to people.
Mm-hmm.
So another tendency that I have that I would like to learn to be, shall we say, more balanced with it, healthier with it, more in control of it. So I'm for some people, I can actually be pretty good at listening. But I've noticed, and maybe hopefully it's not just me, when I get around somebody who's actually genuinely listening to me, sometimes I can't help myself and I just start word vomiting all over them. And it's like, I really am interested in them. I really do want to know about them too. But it seems to release this part of me that feels so good to be listened to. And it's such a rare experience. It's kind of like the analogy is like somebody who's been starving for several days suddenly gets in front of a feast and they tell themselves they're not going to pig out and binge eat. And yet they blink and the next thing they know, they've eaten everything on the table. So I'm just kind of curious, like how can a person become more balanced with that and not engage in that behavior when they get those moments of somebody actually listening to them?
Okay, second hour rules. You guys get to answer first, and if I feel there's anything else I can add, that's when I add my two centavos. So who's got a good answer for Holly's amazing question? Lenora.
Holly, that is a phenomenal question, of which goes tandem with a story too. When it comes to certain people, because I'm right there with you, Holly, because I do not want to have that person feel like they're there to just listen to me and that it is an exchange in friendship and in conversation, especially when there are certain people who really want to listen. It's part of their characteristics and they absolutely love to listen and they want to share. There also has to be that balance of, at least this is what I found, I really have to pay attention and go into the conversation going, I really, really want to hear about you too. I'm okay right now. I'm not having a meltdown. I'm not in the middle of a crisis or anything. I'm good. I want to hear about you. And I will quite literally put the brakes and I will sit there and I will wait until I hear from them so that it feels like there is a two-way friendship because I know exactly what you're talking about. Adding to that, there are times where I'll be in a conversation with somebody and they'll hear something and they're like, well, wait, tell me a little bit more about that. And I'm like, that's not the point of why I was calling. However, it worked out the way that it did because I happened to be, and I wasn't in a meltdown, it wasn't a crisis, but I was kind of spinning and talking to the right people, talking to people who are in your tribe, talking to people who are very extraordinarily considerate about your thoughts can truly change your entire day. And it's having that awareness of sharing and being able to navigate and have your own perspectives and listen to their perspectives. And the reason that it's so important is because we're constantly creating our experience. We're constantly navigating through the world, and there is no pause button. And when you get in those certain conversations with people that can help gently shift your mindset, your emotional set, it can be extraordinarily helpful in navigating not just their world because they then feel helpful in being able to support you and be a part of your life, but also in your world because now you're thinking much more clearly and you're not stuck in a down spiral for a period of time. My thoughts on that.
Great answer. Mark.
Yeah, to achieve that balance, Holly, is something that, TJ and others have been mentioning. You get in, you have to be mindful of, you don't want to control the entire conversation or the session. And you have to, sometimes you can revert to the three magic questions and, and the echo talk. And that usually gets people off of their inertia, just to sit there and listen. What are they passionate about? What are some of their childhood memories about, the roots of their passion? And, just asking you know, basically, open-ended questions and, creating that balance and then just echoing it back. And once that roundabout gets going, they will, they'll join the conversation. They'll just keep talking, and, creating the balance I think you're looking for.
Another great answer. Anybody else got something for Holly? One thing I wanted to add was, Holly, you proved how easy it is to enjoy talking with people. And yes, it's the balance between talking to versus talking with versus listening to. And part of what you'll want to get good at is body language, watching their body language while you're conversing with them. Are they looking like they're waiting for that opening to answer? Are they looking around the other parts of the room while they're listening? Are the replies more like, yeah, yep, uh-huh, yeah, yeah? And that's where that awareness has to be practiced as well. It takes a while to be a good listener as well. I know, I used to be an amazing talker. And then I got to be what I consider a pretty good conversationalist. It took me even longer to learn how to be a really good listener. And I think being a really good listener is one of the more rewarding traits, but it can be a tough balance. Back to the quote that I think I said earlier. I know I said it earlier today. Of you can get 22 friends in a month by being interested in them, or you can make 2 friends a month by telling everybody how interesting you are. Be interested in other people. Truly interested. It'll help you listen much better, I promise. Does that answer your question?
Great answers. Thank you, everyone. Every single one of them, great.
Okay. Guess who's up? Silence. Silence, come on.
Well, now it's just funny because now you're just really not keen on it. Okay, so one thing I wanted to share with you guys, I don't know how you feel about, I will introduce it into our group, ChatGPT. And I've come to be a fan of ChatGPT for probably about almost 2 years now, since it made its great arrival onto the scene. And there's a plugin that I have, and it's pretty impactful and pretty helpful. And I wanted to share with you guys something that I learned. If I could find the bananas tab that it ran away from, which is never making me happy. Okay, got it. So I don't know if any of you guys are like this, the words worthy and deserving, for as much as I love these words, they still don't quite settle with me. And ChatGPT was able to offer some insights on this. And what the distinct difference was when we say, I am worthy of this, I am deserving of this. The distinct difference was that this is more about permission, more of a judgment, that we're quite literally trying to justify and convince ourselves almost that we are worthy of this. And that's why it doesn't really sit well. Whereas when we use other words like, I am a creator, it just is. It's ownership. The huge difference was between the words that were indicating permission to have something versus automatically owning it because it is. You are it. And I thought that was really, really powerful. And it has helped me understand a lot of other things that I tend to be very aware of about myself. And I don't have the answers as to why I do certain things or why I respond this way. And it was able to offer some insights. So if you guys are curious, I highly recommend playing around with it after you properly set the filters and you properly set it up. Just don't go running in asking questions because you're going to get all sorts of weird shit. And I will put that out there. You want to be careful. I've gotten pretty good at it. I know what I'm looking for. I know how to set them. I know how to prime them. I know which ones to use. So it was just something that I thought was very impactful. And I was curious as to what your thoughts were on words of worthy and deserving. Do you notice the difference even as you're thinking about them going, oh, it does sound a little bit more like permission versus automatically owning it? If not, that's okay. I still want to hear what your thoughts are.
Okay, who's got some feedback? Holly.
I'll give it a stab. This may have been something I've said before too. I don't know. I will say, so first of all, when I hear the words worthy and deserving, I kind of think of those as almost being kind of worthy is meaning not undeserving, if that makes sense. Whereas, deserving. So I kind of looked up the etymology because that's what I like to do with words.
I love that.
For deserving. It comes from the Latin word, which means to serve devotedly. Which is kind of interesting to me. I don't know if this is accurate, but it makes me think of kind of whether you believe in God or not. I'll use that because it's an easier analogy. But the idea of, okay, I'm going to get these things positive in my life because I am serving God devotedly kind of situation. I'm going to earn it, basically. And the word deserve, and once again, this is not about the religious belief at all, but the word deserve always rubs me the wrong way. And I think part of it goes back to a saying that I heard years and years and years ago that basically says, nobody deserves anything. Do you deserve the next breath that you're going to take? No. Is there anything you could do to earn the next breath that you're going to take? No, it's just a gift that God, the universe, whatever, has decided to give to you. But the idea that you need to deserve it to have it is kind of ridiculous because no one ever deserves anything. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take the things that are offered to us as gifts. We talk about the feast many times, but if you're invited to a feast that somebody who loves you decides to put in front of you, you don't deserve to have that feast. But the worst thing you could possibly do is go in and say, I don't deserve it, so I'm not going to take it. The best thing you could possibly do is just be grateful and take the things and, pay it forward as much as you possibly can and enjoy it. The enjoyment is the way you earn it, so to speak. You earn it kind of after you get it. It's and you don't have to even earn it. Once again, the reason the person's giving it is because they want to bring you joy, not because they believe you have to do something to earn it. So anyway, yeah, I've always had kind of a funny feeling. I know people talk about, I want to feel like I deserve it. And if that speaks to you, go down that road. But in contrast, the idea of worthy, if it's being not undeserving, I think that sometimes can be where we go into, I feel like I really not only don't deserve it, but I actually like positively don't deserve it. Sorry, I'm having trouble putting it into words, but I can't have that because I'm such an evil person. I can't have that because I've disqualified myself in some way. Um, and I know they kind of seem like they're the same thing, but the one is just I haven't done enough positive, where the other one is I've actually done some negative things. And I think that a lot of times, first of all, most of us are way too hard on ourselves. What we've done is not necessarily that bad. Um, and then, so I do one of the inductions I love to do. I call it the unconditional love induction. But what I'll do is I'll have somebody think of somebody that you love unconditionally. And if you can't think of a person, it could be a pet. It doesn't have to be a person. And then think of that person when they're, maybe really young, or if it's, a pet, just basically that they're a little bit more innocent. And imagine that you're there with them and they get really sick and they start throwing up and you have to clean it up. Now, that's not a fun moment for anybody. But now, as you're looking at them, notice how they might feel if they're feeling unworthy, of how guilty they feel that they just threw up. Look at it from their perspective, then look at it from your perspective. Are any of those feelings accurate? Usually the answer is no. I love you so much, and I know you didn't do this on purpose. You were doing the best you have with the tools and understanding you have, and I'm okay with that. I understand that. Maybe I'm the adult that has to clean up after that. I may be mad at the situation, but I'm not mad at you. It doesn't change how much I love you at any point. And then, of course, you switch it around and say, now imagine somebody who loves you unconditionally. And then go through all of those things that make you feel unworthy. And how do they see it from their perspective? How many of those things aren't even true? So anyway, I know I've been talking for a while, but hopefully that helps a little bit.
You're always allowed to talk here because you're always giving good information. So thank you for sharing that. Mark.
I started playing around in my mind with the declarative or the question, am I worthy? Or I am worthy. One is very empowering, to say I'm worthy of all the accolades, but self-reflection is, am I worthy? That can be a powerful question to ask yourself. Whereas deserving seems a little awkward when you say, I am deserving. Just feels to me uncomfortable rather than, am I deserving? Sounds like a more powerful question to ask. Are we going to turn, and, sometimes the difference is, what comes before it and what comes after it. Sometimes, whether or not it's a question or a declarative statement, but if you receive a gift and you say, I deserve this. Well, that's a powerful statement for a person to make. Whereas, do I deserve this? So I think, again, the language around it, defines how powerful those words can be.
Yep, totally agree. Anybody else got anything they'd like to add to that? Other than me?
I was gonna say I have another word, but I want to hear your thoughts.
My thoughts on this are two things that first, when you were talking about chat
GPT.
I always
Still
go
with chat.
I'm always the GTO, GTP. I'm a motorhead, in case you guys didn't know that. It comes back to the better the question, the better the answer. Get really, really good at learning how to ask questions. Uh, I think Google has pretty much been the universal teacher in this. You can ask the same question 10 different ways, get 10 different answers. And I know if anybody has spent any time on Google, they've typed in a question and got weird answers and went, that's not what I meant. I'll ask it this way. Oh, we're getting closer. And you just start learning how to rearrange your question to find the answer you're looking for. The second part, when you're bringing up these words, nothing means anything until we give it a label. Be two things on that. Be careful of the label that you end on. And the reason I mean that, or the way I'm saying that and the way I mean it is just like with the questions, what are other words, what are other descriptives, what are other labels that I can use in this situation? I do this all the time with clients. Well, it just makes me feel, okay, it makes you feel that. What's another way to describe it? Well, and I get them to name off at least 3 labels, 3 different words. And in searching for the alternate words, a lot of times they realize that they probably went for the least supportive one. And oftentimes it was picked at the peak of weakness. I was angry and I felt. Well, when you look back, what did you really feel? I felt jealous. I felt hurt. Anger, jealousy, and hurt are 3 different things. That allows them to actually analyze what really happened. And then they can figure out where they want to go from there. Just a few thoughts.
I love those. Everybody has this great stuff. I feel like that also ties into a little bit of another question that I had. What are people's thoughts, especially when somebody else that you're around, whether it's a coworker or a close coworker or you're living in the same house, when they're spinning in a bad mood, how do you protect yourself? How do you continue? Yes, we talked about protective empathy, but especially when they're in that close environment, how do you quite literally kind of look at them and be like, all right, I can only do so much, and leave them in their own space to protect your own energy? How do you guys like to do that? What are some of your favorite ways to do that?
Great question. Who's got an answer? Really? Mark does.
I'll take a stab at it. Not literally, but
That's nice of you. Stripes aren't your thing anyway.
Again, you have to, again, and it ties in with protective empathy, but if you're in your happy bubble, or if I am, nothing or no one can distract or disrupt my bubble, and if I just stay in my happy bubble, again, it's a competition, who can hold their state longest. So if you're in your happy bubble, you know, I had a client one time, and for no particular reason, she said, I don't know, I don't know why, but I'm feeling sad. So I said, okay, can I just sit next to you? I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit next to you for a minute. And then I got the kinesthetic rapport, and then I just felt the click, and then I just started bringing up, not looking at her. I was just bringing up pictures of my grandkids, little videos of me playing with them, and moving the pictures around, and it took probably around 4 to 5 minutes. She's like, gee, I'm feeling happy and I don't know why. I was like, you're welcome. And I went back and sat in my chair. But sometimes, like I said, he who holds the state longest wins. Okay. So that should be, and if someone else in the environment is, you don't have to talk to them. You just have to stay in your little happy bubble, and see if they'll join you. Sometimes they will. Sometimes, most of the time I think they will, but sometimes they won't, and that's okay. Stay on that happy train, and again, I think there's a basic need in us. Everybody. I ask question like, to a lot of people, how do you want to feel? Well, I want to feel happy. Okay, well, get off the anger train, get off the anxiety train, get off the fear train, get off the sadness train, get on the happy train. There's always a seat on the happy train. There's plenty of room, and when people say they want to feel happy, I say, well, come on, plenty of room here on the happy train.
Great answer. Thanks for stealing two of mine. Holly.
See if I can steal the rest of them. No, just kidding. Actually, a lot of this is going to have some overlap with what Mark said as well. I will say, for me, also, it depends on who that person is and the energy that I'm getting from them. So sometimes I feel like the person is genuinely reaching out, and, like maybe they share with me that they're really tired or that they've had a rough day. And there seems to be almost like they're asking for help. They're inviting me in. That's going to be very different than, so there's kind of two other categories of people. Another category is somebody who maybe they're telling me about a trauma that they just barely had in their life. And I could tell they're currently in the process of actually processing those emotions. And if I try to jump in and mess with those emotions before they're done processing, all I'm doing is interrupting their processing, interrupting their healing, and making them, just so that I could feel comfortable and I could feel happy. I want you to stuff down all of the feelings you're trying to process. I don't want to be that kind of person in their life. And then, of course, there's the third kind of person. And that's the person who maybe is addicted to the bad mood and they want to be in the bad mood, and they have absolutely no desire to give it up. And they are not inviting me in to help them get out of it. They just, want to commiserate and that sort of thing. So if it's the person who they just maybe are in the bad mood, but they seem to be, and a lot of this will go back to history too. If there might be exceptions to every rule, but if the person seems to genuinely being inviting me in, a lot of it is like what Mark was saying, get rapport with them. And then, sometimes, especially if this is like, say, at work or something, I'm feeling tired too. So it's like, oh, I was going to clear that with myself. Okay, let me just get rapport with you. And let's just jointly clear all our tired energy. And then I also like to sprinkle in embedded commands in the conversation. And then a lot of it can also come down to the tone of your voice. And once again, remembering posture and breathing. So are there things that I could do? If I could get them to laugh, sometimes that alone could just shift their energy like that, because it shifts their breathing. It should, everything. So, I'm playing at these different levels, kind of depending. And if they'll follow me, on often they will, great. We just both supported each other. And then even if I start backtracking, sometimes the fact that they're at a higher plane, they pull me back up with them too, because we're in this rapport. So now if there's somebody that's in the processing, often what I'll try to do, it just really depends. So like one question is, do they need their space? Maybe they need to be alone. Maybe they don't want to be in rapport with my energy and I shouldn't be in rapport with their energy. Or if it's appropriate, maybe they want me to, step in with them and help them process what they're going through and help them find the resolution. Or, there are also other ways that I will kind of, this is going to sound kind of weird because I know that when people stick around, they tend to fall into rapport. But sometimes when I put it out into the universe, this person isn't ready to let me in. They need their space and we literally can't separate. We have to physically be around each other. And so I'll actually just put it out into the universe. Will you please give me a protective bubble of energy so that I can honor my energy, because it's not useful for me to follow them where they're going right now because I can't help anyway. They're not ready for that. But give me that protective energy and give them a protective energy so that they could process what they need to process. And I can not interrupt that, but still, be useful. And usually it will come. I've tried putting it up myself, but when I try to do it from intention and from me and from my ego, it almost never works. But when I put it up into the universe, please send me this because I have good intentions and I know they have good intentions. That's usually where that will go. And then with the third kind of person, honestly, I might use a little bit of echo technique, but first of all, once again, if I can get physical distance, get physical distance. A lot of it's going to be about having healthy boundaries. If they cross an actual boundary that I'm able to communicate and that we've agreed to, I'll call them out on it. But it's one of those, like, you're entitled to live your life the way you want, to hold your energy the way you want. But if you're not open to exploring this and trying to heal it, and you're not also in a temporary place where you're just trying to process it, you're just committed to being in this energy all the time. I have the right to protect my energy too. I do not have any kind of obligation. As a saying I say a lot is, I will walk into the depths of hell to help somebody walk out of hell, but I'm not going to go set up a residence in hell if they're refusing to leave, just to
Didn't
give
you
them company.
didn't you say that once, Holly? Like, you don't feed that, you don't entertain it. You said something.
I may
Do you
have. I may
remember?
have.
Okay, I was like, do you
I
remember
can't
what it
remember the
was?
specifics, but
Like, you don't entertain it, or you don't. I think
that,
it was
yeah,
like you
you know
don't
what?
feed it.
Yeah, because the question is, are they? This gets back to Guy Winch and the what is it? What's the name of his book? I can't remember now. Something about healing emotion, and he talks about there's processing. So sometimes we have to talk through something because we're processing it. We're trying to find the answer. We're trying to find a better safety lesson. We're trying to understand what happened to us, and then there comes the point at which we're accessing it and we're ruminating. And every time you help somebody ruminate, you're making it worse.
Yep.
That's what
And
it is.
so it's like,
Enable.
oh yes, that's a good word for it too. If you're enabling them, if you're helping them ruminate, you're not doing them any services. And so that's when it could be kind of helpful to be like, you know, sorry, you're on your own. And once again, even when you say that and set that intention, if you're stuck working in proximity to each other, you know, once again, you might have to reach out to source or put up bubbles or whatever to not follow them in there. But yes, make it very clear. I am disconnecting from this energy and I'm not entertaining it. I'm not going to enable you to ruminate and to make yourself and me less healthy. But make sure that, you're not being too judgmental up front, because the last thing you want to do is take someone who's genuinely processing and judge them as being ruminating, because that can make the processing stall and completely destroy their healing process too. So
Good stuff. Great answers. Mark.
Magnificent, Holly. Like I said, you're playing 4D chess again with all the knowledge you have, and exactly like I said. But I think again, when you were talking about the person that just wants to hang on to that state, sometimes you just have to let them indulge themselves, because they're being very indulgent, and I think I stole TJ's third point. um,
Fourth.
they
Yep.
want to indulge in it for whatever reason. Maybe it's secondary gain. They get sympathy or from other people if they stay in that state long enough. But yeah, when Holly was talking, all I could think about is how amazing her answer was. But also I wanted to put that little bit in there about, like I said, people like to indulge in in certain negative states because they get a lot more attention, and they get a lot of secondary gain from being in that state. And sometimes you just have to let them be, and tell them, hey, put up that healthy boundary and say, yeah, I'm over here if you're interesting. I said, I think women want to process, if they do want to process, they want to process those feelings. I think it's guys are looking for some kind of healthy discharge to any negative emotional state. But yeah, like I said, but that word, again, people often indulge themselves in feeling a particular way. It's not healing, it's just indulgence.
Yes, you took two more of my answers. I'm running out of answers, but Lenora.
So I love the word indulge. I think that's fantastic. As the person that likes to help, then you're being asked to sit on your hands and or you can't help at all. So how do you deal with that?
Before Holly steals another one of my answers, remember you're dealing with humans in their natural environment. And all of the stuff that everybody's answered and stole all of my answers and all the above, find the reason, if possible, what they're angry about. Is it something new? Or is it some old thing that they just love bringing up because they enjoy feeling angry about something? I think we've all met those people that if they're miserable if they're happy. That if they love being in the middle of the storm, and if there's no storm, they will create one so they can be in the middle of the storm. And that's also where, when Mark brought up protective empathy, the better you understand the person you're dealing with, the easier it is for you to find the answer of how to take care of the situation. There are people that I know that are just, they get off on being in a bad mood. They love that cloud here because, oh, woe is me. Oh, woe is me. And if you ask them, well, do you want to change it? Well, yeah, but I can't. Well, what have you tried to change it? What have you tried before that hasn't worked? I've tried everything. Everything? Yes, everything. Nothing works. I'm in a bad mood and I like being in a bad mood and I'm going to stay in a bad mood. So why don't you join me in my bad mood? Because unlike you, I don't enjoy being in a bad mood. Well, you've been in a bad mood before. Yeah, you're right. I am a human. But I'm going to let you take this pity train party down the tracks by yourself. Have a wunderbar day. Enjoy your misery. I'm going to go elsewhere and find some more of the happiness that I like to surround myself with. Holly.
Man, I'm loving all of these answers, this whole discussion. This idea of attention too. That just brought up all sorts of thoughts in my mind. Something that we as human beings sometimes struggle to do, that we have to do consciously, is we have to remember that we're primed to worry about the scary things, the bad things, to notice the scary things, the bad things. But when it comes to rewarding good behavior versus worrying about bad behavior, sometimes we forget to reward the good behavior when we have those opportunities. And so somebody who is absolutely starved for attention, they may not even realize that they're doing it. It may be at a subconscious level. They might manifest cancer because the only time anybody ever cares about them is when they're in trouble. They might become they become addicted to being suicidal because the only time that anybody seems to care about them is when they're suicidal. And, obviously one of those things is don't indulge too much when they're, in that energy and wanting the attention. Don't reinforce that that's how they get attention. But on the flip side, we need to also remember when times are neutral to reach out again. When they are doing things that are good, reach out again and let them know how much we care about them when they're being happy, because that can make all the difference in the world. And then just one other thought. So we were talking about, how can you feel good about it if you're a combination of a people pleaser and you care about people, which sometimes seem similar, but they're different. And I've said this before, I'm sure, but this idea of what matters more to you. Does it matter more to you to actually help somebody? Or does it matter more to you to be seen to helping somebody? And the being seen could be by them, by the person you're helping, or by, bystanders. And if we actually care about helping somebody, knowing that going silent is going to help them means that is the most helpful. So that idea of I care enough about you to tell you the truth. I care enough to, help you in growth. Like the parent who, their kid is throwing a temper tantrum. The parent who just gives it and says, "Oh, you poor thing, let me go buy you a toy," every time the kid throws a temper tantrum does not love their kid.
No.
They just want to please their kid and be their friend and want them to like them. It's the parent who says, "No, I'm going to train that bad behavior out of you." That's the parent who, I love you enough to punish you. I love you enough to teach you. I love you enough to tell you the truth. And so if we're falling into that people-pleasing habit, ask yourself genuinely, what is the loving thing to do? And do I love this person enough not to hurt them more by enabling them in rumination? Do I love this person enough not to train them to feel like the only way that somebody cares about them is when they're in crisis? And then once again, like I said, add to that, and I'm going to follow up with them when times are better, when energy is more neutral, where I can actually give them something positive without reinforcing that this behavior is the only way that they could get help.
As always, amazing answers. You rock, Holly. Okay, Mark, follow up that one.
Well, I can follow it up with a story. Lenora, sometimes you do have to sit on your hands, because I had this client, and I had seen him for a few weeks, and I was teaching him state control, and had him up, and I had him, remembering holding his, baby boy for the first time, and had him put a smile on his face, remember what he was seeing, what he was feeling, taste, all the NLP submodalities. And, I got him into a joyous state, and, then figured I'd get a 2-hour halo effect. But he bounced back to a sourpuss state. He's like, "Yeah, I don't like feeling that." I said, "You don't like feeling happy?" "No, I don't like feeling happy." I'm like, "Okay, we're done." um, sometimes you have to, just sit on your hands. And like I said, people go their own way. He was angry and sullen and a sourpuss, and he really enjoyed those feeling states. And I'm like, "Okay, you have a nice day."
Don't be afraid to fire them.
That's it. I have fired people a lot.
Yeah. I've dealt with those people as well, and I deal with them as little as I possibly can. Holly.
I keep having follow-up thoughts.
Good.
One other thought too is if you want to go another direction, if you feel like somebody's in genuine crisis and you know that maybe it's not the best to indulge it, but you also know that if you don't do something that you're going to regret it and they really do need some kind of intervention, the other option is to go shock and awe. So respond in a way that you let them know you care about them, but it's so embarrassing they're never going to want to do it again. So for example, if someone calls you up and they're feeling suicidal, take that seriously. But that's above your pay grade. You should be on the phone to 911 and get those people over to wherever they're at as fast as possible. They will get the message that, yes, this person cares about me. But they also are going to have a bunch of strangers who are, in uniforms coming into their house, checking on them. And it's going to be a wake-up call of, oh, this actually does matter. I don't actually want to go through this every single time I feel this way. So maybe this is not the best way to get what I need. And like I said, I don't think this is a conscious decision most people are making. But we're priming the subconscious mind that people do care about you, but let's find a healthier way for you to feel that.
I've been on the other end of that call as well. Had a client do an emergency call to the clinic that they were suicidal. And so I got in the office as quickly as I could, got online with them, and they were sitting in their car and said they were suicidal. And they had already written their letter, their suicide note. Guess what my reaction was? Awesome! That is so good. And they were like, a what? No, this is my suicide note. I said, yes, that's awesome. And you're here and you reached out for a reason. This is your moment. You don't have to go through with it. Let's consider this right now, your death. And close your eyes, and as soon as you open your eyes up, your new life is here. You get to do whatever the hell you want now. You've gone as low as you dare go. What do you want to do different right now? I said, you don't have to talk to anybody from your old life because you're dead. You already died. They're not in your life anymore. You don't have to go to your old job anymore because you're dead. They already lost you. They'll find somebody new. Grab your stuff, move to a new town, and start a new life. Because I want you to look around, and I actually had them take a picture in their car where they were. I said, this is where you died. Now let's start living. Yeah, sometimes, and where that came from, I ain't gonna lie. It wasn't like I had this all planned out and I'd practiced this in some class. It just came to me. But they admitted it was exactly what they needed to hear. And they told a lot of people in their life that were draining their energy and bringing them down. Bye, adios. Yeah, I worked with them a couple of times, on and off for about a year, and they got rid of their. They actually cut themselves off from two of their kids because their kids were so demanding and draining and disrespectful and I said, then blame your ex. And they can deal with your ex. The kids were adults already. I said, but if you're dead, who are they going to talk to? Your ex. So cut them off, grab what you can, move to anywhere. I said, is there any town or location that you can afford to drive to that you wouldn't mind living in, then go there. Grab whatever bit of money you have left, pack your little car with whatever you can fit in it, and start over, because you died right here on the side of this road in this parking lot today, right now. Start living. Very unconventional. Again, I don't know where it came from, total download, but they said it saved their life. So, and I should probably look them up, see how they're doing. But the last I heard, they had moved out of town, told a lot of people to off with you, and started a new life. And I let them know. I put them through the Identity Management University protocol. I said, don't go into this new town being the person you were that wrote that suicide note. Be as completely different as you want to be. If you want to show up in the new town with purple hair, Elvis glasses, as the person who laughs all the time and loves to hug people and tells people how much you love them, then do it. No looking back, no regrets. Play that song, Live Like You Were Dying, until you can sing it a cappella with and fill your life that way. Throw a brick on the throttle, tear off the rear view mirror, and scream like a 5-year-old. Woohoo! So, any other input on that?
I'm so glad you got to work with them still afterwards.
Well, I was glad that I had the opportunity to,
Be there.
yeah.
Huh.
And it was on my day off, and the clinic called me. They're like, we know it's your day off, but they said they're suicidal. I'm like, I'm on it.
Wow.
It's one of those things.
Talk about divine timing.
Yep, phone was on. I was able to do it. And again, I hope they're out there just living a life that they never thought possible. And the funny part was, they said they had no idea how easy it was going to be. In their mind, they thought it was going to be horrendously hard. Until I told them, you're not a person who has a horrendously hard time moving anymore. That was the old person. The new person has moved many times before. This is nothing new. This is the 18th time you've crammed your car full of shit, moved to a place, found some funky little hole-in-the-wall apartment that'll get you through till you get your first couple of paychecks, and then you can decide, do you like the town? Just because you moved there doesn't mean that's your final destination. That could be your destination on the way to your final destination. They just happened to find this cool little town. They didn't want to be lost in some monstrous suburb. found an awesome little job, and they were having a blast. And found out what it was like to be unapologetically whoever they wanted to be. Because nobody knew them when they got there. So nobody knew that they were being somebody different. Nobody knew. Nobody questioned it. They just got to be the person that they thought they wanted to be, and they found out I was a really cool person to be. So I think I'll keep being that person. And if you want to see a hilarious, I usually don't recommend a whole lot of these types of shows, but if you want to see hilarious show about somebody who is moving somewhere way out of their normalcy, a show from quite a years back called Lilyhammer. Oh, it's not for everybody. Don't watch it with the youngins. And no, it's not that kind either. It's about a New York mob boss who has to go into witness relocation program. And so he decides to go from New York to Lillehammer, Norway, because he remembered that they had the Olympics there and it looked kind of cool. And things didn't quite go as he expected them to, and of course, because it's a TV show, the most hilarious ways. And I probably found it funnier than most because I study the human nature, and I actually lived in Norway for a short while, for about 3 months. And so I understood some of their societal norms and stuff like that. So it was hilarious. But enough about me. We got 4 minis left. Any other ahas, epiphanies, questions, comments, input?
I just wanted to say you guys are very, very helpful. I have a stack of note cards. I'm a junkie. And the things that I get from you guys are so helpful. And I have this huge corkboard that I cannot take down. I have graduated from my tiny corkboard to a very big one that's actually very up there. So thank you for your insights, because I write down what you all say, and I appreciate you all. So thank you.
Now I'm going to have to order you a big monstrous sheet of sheet metal. We're just going to screw it to the wall, and you're going to have magnets, and you're going to arrange and move and dry erase markers and lines, and then you can do the crime scene CT.
That would be hysterical. When my office gets bigger, that sounds like a great idea. I love
We'll keep every one of them for your memoirs
You know, what's funny is
once you become famous.
for the longest time when I do cycle them, but once they're done, then I stick them in a notebook, and I have notebooks upon notebooks of glued in Post-its and things like that. So
I'm not
been
the only one
a
that's
lot
a
from
Post-it
Triple
junkie.
T. So thank you. What's that? What did you say?
So I'm not the only one that's a Post-it junkie. My people, well, you guys out there may not realize, but my monitor, the reason why you see my eyes moving all over the place, I use a 50-inch high-def TV for my computer monitor, and I have Post-its all the way around it with little things that help me remember stuff for clients and things like that. Here's a fun
I have the Book of Mark. I think we're into the 8th or 9th edition, and I put my little
That is awesome.
post-its in the Book of Mark.
awesome.
That is awesome. I love that. The Book of
This
Mark.
just popped in my head. Here's a little project for you guys, and it'll cost you $189.56 and a frame and whatever frame and matting or however you want to do it. But get yourself every denomination of money down from a $100 bill down to a penny and put them all up as a family portrait of your friends.
I love that.
And I put that, that's one of my things that I'm gonna make for my wall this year.
Very awesome.
And that brings us right to the top of the second hour and closes yet another Triple T. I am so thankful for you guys. I don't have the proper vocabulary to really express what it means to have my tribe and you guys to show up and claim this as your tribe, because it is your tribe. This isn't just my tribe. I just happened to start the platform. You guys kept showing up, and I pray every time before I get it started that you'll get something out of this of benefit. And for those of you watching the recording and watching live on YouTube, love you, Mom. Stay warm. And the rest of you, love you as well. Thank you for your precious gift of time. You'll hear it from me all the time. And I hope you hear it many more times.
I think Holly could be the scribe of the tribe. She could come up with the right words to,
Describe the tribe. I love that.
Scribe of the tribe. That is awesome. In fact, and you guys oftentimes see me down here scribbling. It's because I have to take notes of what we covered so that I can go on the YouTube recording and write down what we talked about so that I don't forget. Scribe of the tribe is going to be the last one. So again, thank you for your precious offering of your time, and I look forward to seeing your beautiful faces back here in 7 days. Until then, go out and have an amazing life. Live as big as possible. See how many people you can make smile. Practice the trifecta. Come back with lots of cool stories, and I'll see you back here in 7.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.